Hello developers, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about what is maybe my favorite application as a developer. It's called Raycast. It saves me hundreds of hours a year. If you're unfamiliar with Raycast, we're going to do a quick run through of what the app is, how you use it, and how you can start saving as much time as I do with it. So if you've ever seen me use a computer in real life, you will know that I am a big fan of doing absolutely everything I can with the keyboard. And Raycast is a fantastic app for me because it lets me do just that, navigate pretty much whatever I want to with just a few strokes on the keyboard. I can open apps, I can rearrange windows, I can run the custom scripts that I have, I can file bug reports, and do all of that much quicker than I could through other user interfaces like a web application. So in this video, we're going to show you how to get up and running with Raycast, how to do some basic navigation with the app, and then I'll show you some of my personal tweaks that I like to use to get the most out of it. Onto the setup. The first thing you'll need to do to get Raycast up and running is download it. So to do that, I'm going to go to raycast.app or raycast.com, they now seem to have, and just click the download button. You can also do it through Homebrew, but I like to do it through the DMG file like this. And then clicking that there is going to open up the usual installer. And if you drag that to the applications, you'll have Raycast installed. Once you've got Raycast installed, you want to make sure it's running. So you can open it up like that and you'll see this little window appear. There might be a little walkthrough to get you started with this. They update the app at quite a quick pace, so this is constantly changing. But once you're at this window, we'll show you a few steps to configure it properly. So the first thing we're going to do to configure Raycast, which isn't actually a Raycast trick, it's within system preferences, is we're going to turn Spotlight off. Raycast for me replaces Spotlight for absolutely everything. There's no reason I need to use Spotlight at all, so I want to make sure that that never shows up. So in the Raycast window, I'm just going to search for keyboard shortcuts and open that properly. And then I'm going to go to Spotlight, and I've already got this turned off, but there's this show Spotlight search option. And you just want to make sure that that's not clicked so that when you press Command Space, it shouldn't show the Spotlight window. Next thing we want to do is turn that back on for Raycast. If you hit Command comma or search for preferences, in Raycast, you'll get this window here, and the thing we want to change is this hotkey. So if you click that, you can do whatever hotkey you want. I like Command Space because it's really quick. I use this app all the time, but if for some reason that you want to do something else, that's completely fine as well. Now we can open up Raycast wherever we want, just like that. In its essence, Raycast is a search bar. It lets you search for pretty much anything on your computer. So you can search for files, you can search for applications, and you can search for commands. Let's walk you through a couple of examples of how to use that search interface. One of the simplest use cases we might have is just searching for an application. If I open the window up and type Spotify, for example, we'll get the Spotify window opening. I basically never click to open an application. Doing something like this is going to take a lot longer when you get really used to using Raycast, especially as you don't have to type the whole thing. You can just type SP and you'll have Spotify like that. Even if I have Windows up open, sort of tabbing through like this, which is the other way I might sometimes switch windows, this takes a lot longer to find the particular one that you want to use versus that super quick route that we have there. We'll get to some other commands that you can use within Raycast in a second, but first of all, let's just jump through a couple of quick navigation tips. I can navigate up and down with the arrow keys. I can also do Control J and K to do the same thing. I really like this because it's similar to my Vim setup, and also because you don't have to take your hands off of the home row to go up and down. Another really important part of navigating Raycast is this little window down here. When we have a command, we have the key action, so for an application, opening it, but we also have this submenu. So if I hit Command K, we can see that there, and we'll see that there's a lot more options that we have. So I can press that, and we can see the application in Finder, for example, or we can like add it to favorites. This will become a bit more important when we look at some more advanced commands later, like filing a bug report in Jira or Linear, but it's just good to know that that's there and that you can access it with Command K. And the final bit to know about the user interface is the preferences window. So I like to use the global shortcut, Command comma, to access the preferences. This is where, like in the extensions tab, would do a lot of the work to configure and add applications but we'll jump into this in more detail when we look at specific apps that we're going to add to Raycast. Now we know how to get around Raycast, we can start looking at some specific applications. Okay, so window management in Raycast. Let's imagine we're making some book notes. We have a book on our desk. We have some notes that I'm putting in my note-taking app, Roam here. And then we maybe want to make some flashcards as well. So I've got two windows up on my screen, and without Raycast, you might be doing something like this and dragging things around and kind of get them in the right spot. And that probably takes a few seconds, and you're not using the whole screen. It's quite time consuming. What the window management tool lets us do is do all of that in half a second. If I have a window selected here, so in this case Anki, and I open up Raycast and I just type right, then we get to snap the window fully to the right like that. And then if I have room, I can type left, and it's going to sit there on the left for us. There's loads of commands you can do. I'll show you the full list in a second, but you can do full window, you can do left, which we showed you, you can do bottom, there's like bottom center sixth if you want to get really advanced. Basically any tiling configuration that you want to have. Now, one thing that I set up which makes this process even faster is hotkeys. If we go back to that extensions window in Raycast, and we find, where's it gone? Window management. We can see all those commands that we have available. And we can also set hotkeys for them. Here on left half, I've put this crazy looking one, which is actually like a custom key that I have on my keyboard to do Command, Control, Option, and Shift at the same time. It's sometimes called Hyper if you're into mechanical keyboards. And then H. H being like left in Vim language. Don't worry too much about the specific shortcut. I just picked something that made sense to me, and you should pick something that makes sense to you as well. But once we've got that set up, and I've got the same for like maximize and J for down and L for right and K for top half, we can do those snaps even quicker. When I do H to go to the left or to the right, or down or up, that stuff is super, super quick. My next favorite app is the Clipboard manager in Raycast. So if you're used to copying and pasting, which I assume you are, this tool makes that process a lot easier. So again, if we just search in Raycast for Clipboard, we get the Clipboard manager. And I've got a couple of items here on the left that I have previously copied and pasted today. I can do the Control J and K to navigate up and down, and we can preview them on the right. This works with text. It also works with images. If you want to be really smart, I believe you can even search inside those images to find text. So here's some of the script for this video, and I can see that window management is showing up like that. And then once I've got the item that I want to copy, I can just hit enter, and that's now in my clipboard. Again, I use this one a lot, so I've set up a hotkey just like we did before. So if I go to clipboard, I've got this key combo up for C, so that if I ever want to search, I can just hit it and get it up. So the next little app that I'm going to show you is the schedule app within Raycast. This is another super useful one. It shows you which events are currently running or running throughout your day, and it also handles some of the tricky conferencing, which link do I go to stuff. If I have an event coming up, which conveniently I do, record the video for Raycast, started 8 minutes ago. We'll see that just as soon as I open Raycast, and we'll have the option to just jump straight into the event. And that's going to open up the video for us there with my other camera. If you want to view your whole schedule within the app, you can do that as well. So if we type schedule, we can see everything, including a go to sleep warning. On from the super simple apps, and we're going to start showing you some stuff which is slightly more involved. Another workflow that I use all the time is creating bug reports really quickly. So I'm going to show you the linear app because that's what I use day to day now, but the workflow for getting Jira set up is basically the same. This also works with GitHub if that is your issue tracker of choice. First thing we want to do is make sure that we have linear configured. Again, we're going to do that in the extensions tab. And if I find linear here, we can see the app and all the subcommands. You'll need to sign in so that you have the account linked up, and then you'll get access to all of these commands. I'm going to show you the create issue command, which is what I use the most. Sometimes I search for stuff as well, but the creating is really where I get most bang for my buck. So if I search there, I get this template which hooks up to my Linear account. And I can type stuff really quickly. And I absolutely love doing this for bug reports because a lot of the time, just the additional friction for opening up the app, filling in the details, and then going back to what you were doing means that sometimes stuff doesn't get reported. So being able to do it instantly like this actually not only means that you do stuff quicker, but you also do it at all in the first place. So let's do a return bug report, and then we can fill it with some pretend bug, and then we'll put it on the backlog. I will do it, and it's going to be a bug report. Cool. Now we're going to look at looking up documentation really quickly from within Raycast. This was something that took me a little bit longer to discover. Initially, I was just sticking to Googling things, but there were one or two extensions I saw which made this process a lot easier, and I now find myself doing this all of the time right within Raycast. The first extension we're going to look at is the MDN one, which is the Mozilla web docs where you'll sort of find the canonical resources for JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Now, I believe this is the first application we've looked at where we have to download it from Raycast store. One of the powerful things about Raycast is that we have this store that we can search with a ton of applications that have their own extensions. So if we go in here and search for MDN, search for, you get the idea. The app's called search for MDN, and we search for it. We can install that extension. So I've already got it installed, so that shows up cleanly, but you'll see a similar user interface on your application. Once we have that installed, we can search the MDN docs really quickly. For example, I always forget what unshift does, so like the JavaScript method. So if I go for MDN and do that, we can show the details there, and we see, yep, it adds elements to the beginning of the array, not the end, which is what I always get confused about. And we can see that all inline super quickly. The other cool way to use documentation from within Raycast is with a separate app called Dash. To download Dash, we will have a quick Google for the Dash documentation app, which is this one here. And if you click download, you'll go through the installation wizard for that. Once you have Dash, you can add different doc sets, which is just a group of documentation. So for example, if you want to have JavaScript, you can install that, or if you like doing Python or use the Django framework, there's doc sets available for all of these tools. Of course, we can search within Dash for particular bits of information. So to use the unshift example again, we can find that within the JavaScript documentation, but we can also search this from within Raycast. So again, when we're on the Raycast store, we're going to search for Dash and make sure that that is installed. Perfect. And now we can begin searching from within Raycast. Let's open up Raycast and search for Dash, find in Dash. And now we can search for anything we want. So maybe the cons operator in Clojure. A bush, right like that, straight into the docs, super quick. Another cool app I use is random data generation. If you have done any web development, you might have come across the Faker library, which is a library which generates fake or realistic looking pretend data. It was in the news recently for the maintainer going slightly rogue and breaking the package for everyone, but it's widely used, and we're going to use it today to generate some fake data within Raycast. Let's begin by installing the Faker powered extension in the Raycast store. So if we search for data, maybe random data generator, this one here, and we can install the extension. Now that we have this installed, we can search through it and get fake data in a bunch of different formats. Let's start by maybe looking up some fake names. This might be useful if you are within Figma, say, and you want to just quickly generate some realistic looking profile information for a design that you have. So we can do first name, and we'll have that copied to the clipboard. So if I paste that back into Raycast, we have Trevor. We can do it again and we'll get a different name. This time we've got Dylan, and so on. There's loads of information within here. If I show you some of the weirder stuff, we can have like cat pictures, cat names. Where's it gone? Finance. Yeah, here we go. Pictures, random cat pictures. random fashion pictures, unsplash images of buildings, lorem ipsum generators. One that I use quite a lot is UID. Sometimes it's really useful to have a quick UID generation, maybe if you're calling an endpoint in an API app like Postman or Insomnia, and you just need to have a value there quickly. I use this one quite a lot. They're my favorite extensions, but we're going to speed run a few other ones now just to give you an overview of the really wide range of stuff that you can do within Raycast. There's a dictionary, so I can anti-disestablishmentarianism, find the definitions and spellings for words like that, and easily paste them elsewhere. If you're about to leave your computer, the screen lock command is super useful. I'm not going to lock it because it might do something weird with the video, but it locks your screen. There's an app for Spotify, so you can get information like the current playing track. So if we have this one playing by floating points, we can get the URL there and share it with a friend. You can view all of your recent VS Code projects like that. There is a Party Parrot app. And if you're feeling nostalgic for some old Windows screensavers, you can make the Raycast windows bounce around like one of those beach balls. Okay, and there we have it, Raycast. I've probably shown you about 95% of what I've used the app for. We haven't really gone into the world of custom bash commands and custom extensions that you can write yourself. If you're interested in that, we can maybe have a walkthrough of building our own Raycast extension. But for now, hopefully I have made you a little bit more productive day to day and shown you something cool. If you're looking for another video on staying productive as a programmer, I would recommend this one on the interruption ratchet. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.